Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Working in Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Nick Bowins, and today I'm joined by two very special dudes, Dan Powers and Chris Powers of the Empty Netters podcast. You guys have definitely seen them on social. You've heard their sometimes shitty hockey takes. Fellas, how are we doing?
We are fantastic, dude. My favorite part of the offseason is Leafs fans believe again. So I'm I'm really enjoying this moment of summer, my yearly tradition.
That was such a personal jab for 30 seconds into this. But fellas, I'm excited to talk here today. Like I said, everybody's seen you guys on socials. Everybody's seen the podcast over the past couple of years. It's been a pretty quick rise for you dudes. So I want to kind of dive into how that all started, how it came to be, how two Northeastern dudes ended up in LA and now doing a hockey podcast. Dan, where did it all start?
It's kind of a funny journey. We attribute it to a lot of good timing and a lot of fortuitous events. So Chris and I moved to LA almost 11 years ago now, and we came out here to work in the movie and television business. We are both writers, and we have done that since we've been here. We still do it now. And we just got a really wild and lucky opportunity when COVID hit. The entertainment industry just shut down. Like nothing was going on. No one was working. We couldn't work on any projects. And Friday Beers, the Instagram that many of you know, they were up and running, making fun content on the internet. And they decided they wanted to dab into the hockey world. And they read a script that Chris and I had written about New England prep school hockey. They were like, "You guys are hockey dudes. Would you be interested in starting an Instagram page?" And that's truly how it started. We, saw it as a cool little side job while COVID was going on. No one was working. Nice little side income. And we came up with the name. We started a page, and it was very much in the vein of Friday Beers. Like we did a bunch of memes and a bunch of short form tracking videos. And it was fun. It was cool. It did well. Hockey fans were like, "Oh, cool. Like this is a fun, like joke hockey page." And as we did that more and more and the output grew, we started coming into the office at Friday Beers a little bit for meetings, just doing stuff here and there. And they were hearing us talk about hockey and kind of realized that we were both psychopaths and encyclopedias when it comes to just old hockey stats, reading Cap Friendly, RIP, and just like knowing everything about all the teams and just ingesting as much hockey as humanly possible. And they were very adamant that we started a podcast. We were kind of hesitant at first because we didn't want to just be another hockey podcast in the game. It's like every time someone makes a new hockey podcast, we're like, what a fucking idiot loser. We don't need more of these. Yeah, we just took some time to think about what Empty Netters would be, like how our show is different, why someone should listen to us when they already listened to a bunch of other shows. And when we kind of came up with something that we liked and it launched, yeah, we did just kind of start rising quickly. We got some cool opportunities to have some guys come on the show. And I think that we took a very different approach with our interviews. We really like to make it personal, make sure that the fans and listeners get to know these people as the guys that they are, not so much the players they are. And I think that was a fun opportunity for different guys in the league. And since then, it's just been, this awesome journey of continuing to grow, try new things, and keep sort of just establishing our brand and what vibe you get when you come to Empty Netters and what guys in the league can expect when they come on. It's like a really fun time where we're just going to shoot the shit like a bunch of friends. And when you listen to the show and watch the show, we want you to feel like you're sitting on the couch with us, just hanging out with some buddies. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is we just realized that hockey and hockey guys are the best thing in the world. And just spreading that message, it has kind of been what the whole mission statement is and what we've leaned into.
Dude, Nick, I would say too at the beginning, everything Dan said is right, but the tweak amendment I would make is I don't feel like there are a ton, and it's the nature of the league more than anything else, but there aren't a ton of hockey shows, right? Like I think our biggest fear wasn't we're another hockey show. It was more like everybody I know listens to Chicklets. I listen to Chicklets, like, so I was like, what are we? Just the two dudes that weren't as successful as Ryan and Paul. And like, we just do ours, like that was the fear combined with the on camera thing, which is weird, right? Like Dan said, we were two movie writers who run an Instagram page in the shadows. Like nobody knows that's me. When I'm going to a meeting at Universal Studios, they don't go, "Are you the fucking hockey Instagram guy?" You know? And I was like, fuck. So that was a concern, right? And I think everyone that knows you and follows you knows the Hockey Collective page, where it's like, same deal. It's a super successful page, but everybody's like, "Oh, that you don't, you're not, your face isn't on that right away," right? And so making the transition to the stuff you're doing now and the stuff when we made that early call, that was a harder convo than it probably feels in hindsight. Like everyone now is like, "Yeah, of course it's sick," but I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't know it was going to be sick. I thought maybe it was going to be bad." So that was a factor early for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's hard to get out there, and it's hard once people start following for one reason to kind of convince them, hey, Chris putting his face on here now, right? That's a difficult thing. I did want to talk about that, kind of going from writing scripts, you guys are behind the scenes there, to getting on camera. I know you guys said it's difficult there, but taking it all the way back when you guys very first reached out to me at Hockey Collective there, I did my good due diligence,
Yeah,
checking you guys out on Instagram. I searched Chris first because I believe the email came from Chris. No profile picture, no
dude,
post. I'm like,
such
all
a
right,
burner.
these guys, who are these guys? Click on Dan, and I give it, a good deep scroll.
Yeah,
And July 14th, 2020, Dan,
I
you
know what
know
you're gonna
what
say.
you happened to post that day?
Is this on IG?
Your IG. It is the two of you entirely recreating the Ducks fly together.
Oh,
Just the two of you.
oh yeah,
Hey,
baby.
dude, playing like 20 characters.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Everybody,
it is a
every single
spectacle.
character. So you guys, you were behind the scenes. It was hard to get on camera, but you'd done a little bit of on camera.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's true.
and from that point on, I was like, you know what? If two dudes are gonna recreate this entire roster and sing Ducks Fly Together, I like these guys.
Yep.
Dude, Nick, let me tell you a funny story about that too. So that was during COVID, obviously 2020. We're stuck at home, and they're on yours still, right, Dan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
And so
yeah.
we made a page, a specific Instagram page called Safer at Home Movies. And it's all of them are there. We did like 35 movies or something
I think
bananas.
it's 35.
But
Yeah.
dude, so everybody go check it out. It's hilarious. But this is what killed me, Nick. As we were doing that, and we were like, we're editing them at home with our buddy Marty, and we're like, this is gonna fucking blow up. It could go so viral. We're gonna get huge. And then like no one gave a fuck. Like our friends watched, but like 100 people saw those. Meanwhile, at the same time in life, three brothers, the Barrett brothers here, are starting Friday Beers, and we're watching their videos too, and they are blowing up. And I remember I was like, who are these fucking guys whose Instagram page is getting millions of likes and no one cares about ours, even though we're reenacting movies and they're just making pop culture jokes. And then all these years later, dude, it was a classic, you can't beat them, join them situation.
Yeah.
They were like, you want to come work for us? And I was like, actually, yes, that
Yeah,
would
we
be great.
truly sold out. It's like,
Unbelievable.
Sometimes you have to, sometimes you have to. But I wanted to kind of touch on that. You guys said that you've been in LA for over 10 years now. You've been there for a while, and then, kind of stumbled into this hockey opportunity. Talk to people a little bit about, you don't need to find your exact career and path and opportunity the day you graduate college, the day you first apply for jobs. I think that's something that gets super overlooked, super underthought about, especially with social media. People think, 21, graduate COVID, I need to have the job I'm going to have for the next 40 years and step right into it. You guys found the success in your 30s with Empty Netters, right? Like, talk to me
yeah.
about that journey.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question and setup. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for taking your time and figuring out what you're into. And that goes back to, high school. I feel like here in the States, especially, it's rammed down your throat that if you don't go to college, you are going to be a failure. You're not going to succeed. You're not going to meet the people that you need to meet. And I'm here to tell you that that is simply not true. I went to college and I had a great time, you know, good stuff, but I am also going to be very real and tell you that the success that I have found in life did not come from the connections that I made at college, did not come from the lessons that I learned at college. I'll be very, very open and honest about that. I'm not saying I didn't learn anything at college. I absolutely did. I'm just telling you that there are many, many avenues that you can take that will find you success, that will find you the perfect fit for you or something that you want to do and something that you can excel in. So my first bit of advice would be to not just rush into something because you think that's what society needs you to do. I'll also say this, man, the boom of social media and entrepreneurship, which subsequently is what my college specializes in, has made a lot of people think that immediate success is the only thing that they will settle for or accept. And I hate that. I think that's a terrible mindset. I think it's a spoiled mindset. And while some people get it, it doesn't mean that it's the only way to get there. And it also doesn't mean you're failing or you're falling behind if what you are doing at the moment is not giving you immediate success. We had plenty of shitty jobs where you learn so many important skills. You learn how to deal with getting stuff stacked on your plate. You learn how to deal with, frankly, bad treatment from bad bosses. And I'm not saying that you need that, but if you're in that situation, don't think that you're failing or you're going, well, I'm fucked. I'm not. Can I swear on this? Sorry, I don't know if I can swear on this. Okay. Yeah, don't think that, you're in the deep end and you're never going to get out. So for us, man, it's just been all about, we identified things that we really loved and things that we wanted to do as a career. And instead of just going, yeah, I really want to do that, I'm going to get a sales job and just dream about doing that. And maybe I'll dabble in it a little bit. I am proud of us in saying that we said, all right, we're doing it. We packed up our car and we drove across the country and we came to the city that specializes in the world we wanted to work in. And then when we got here, we put our heads down and went all in on it. We worked a shitty assistance jobs, worked at different production companies, worked at studios, did PA jobs. I mean, dude, I was PAing on a Kids Bop commercial multiple times, just trying to make ends meet to keep doing what I wanted to do. And when it this stuff, doing empty netters, I think the key for us was we had an opportunity that came, and I don't want to say into our lap, because being invested in hockey later in life, when we stopped playing hockey and when we stopped chasing the dream, we still stayed in love with hockey and we immersed ourselves in it. And we wrote scripts about it. That is why the opportunity came about, because we stayed in the hockey world. And when it then came to the place where Empty Netters had an opportunity to become what it did, we didn't just go, yep, okay, we're going to just sit down in these chairs right here and just record some podcasts and see what happens. We did weeks and weeks and months of preparation and research and being hard on each other and ourselves and saying, how can we make the best product that we are capable of? And then we try to deliver something to the people. So for me, it's just that combination of, if you want to get out of the job you're in, or if you can see down the road and go, I want to work in this industry, or I want to work with these types of people, figure out how you can do it and then work your fucking ass off at it. Don't have this mentality that says, oh, I see this guy on Instagram, he's got 1 million followers and it looks like it happened overnight. Oh, if that doesn't happen for me, then fuck this. I'm not doing, like, just shut up and do the hard work to get to where you want to be in the field that you want to be in.
Yeah, I'll add two things because he's spot on. What's the expression, like overnight success, years in the making, or whatever? Like no one sees the build up. But the two things I'll add is, one, and I heard this from my boy Sam, our buddy from home. He always says this shit to me, but allow things to emerge in your life. People get on a straight line path, right? You pick something, and dude, it could have very easily, in fact, it almost was very easily us, where I go, we are screenwriters. Okay. That's what I do. So then when someone goes, hey dude, do you want to do this hockey Instagram page on the side? Which is all it was, right? It was we posted 3 times a week or whatever. We could have very easily gone, no, I'm a screenwriter, dude. I'm not even going to water that plant to see what happens. But you do, right? And I'm like, okay, let's just do that on the side and then let it grow. And then it became posting 3 times a day. And then it became a podcast. And now it's what it is, right? Like, you have to let things come to you in life. I feel like people get tunnel vision too much. I have before, we almost did in this case. So have an emergent strategy in your life is one thing I would say for sure. And the other thing, peeling off on Dan's, don't need it to be overnight. Don't need it to be overnight, but you do need to make stuff. these days. Even dude,
Mhm.
even in our movie industry, like if you're trying to like be a filmmaker, if you don't have a short that you've made on YouTube, no one even talks to you anymore because they're like, you have to do shit. So people that want to do anything like you're doing, Nikki, stuff like we're doing, fucking obviously we had a very fortunate platform to springboard us, right? Like we were a part of the Friday Beers umbrella. It wouldn't have gone as quickly if Dan and I were in our couch at home doing exactly the same show. But if that is you, do that though. Like sit on your couch, record it, throw some hockey takes off, learn how to edit, and put them out there. And when they, to like what Dan was saying, when they get 10 views, who cares, right? Like have a body of work so that when something comes calling, when the hockey guy on YouTube is like, hey, I love your shit, do you want to come on my show, you get to go, yeah. And everyone goes, well, how did this happen? And you go, because I made 20 videos, I made 20 clips that no one watched, but it was just me getting my take out there. I think, and it's scary, I know it's scary, but I couldn't encourage people to do that more if you want to do this stuff, because if you don't have the portfolio, you kind of get buried, right? Like you just say you love it, but you have nothing to point to.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's well said by both of you. And as movie guys, you'll appreciate make your own luck, as Two-Face would
Yeah.
say, Christopher
Yes.
Nolan, right? You guys made your own luck by getting the opportunity, staying involved in what you were interested in, and putting in that time, putting in that effort. And absolutely agree. It's all about getting at bats. And I say that on almost every episode. It doesn't matter if you want to be a creator, like we're talking here, if you're in sales, if you're in videography, whatever it is, if you want to get into the hockey industry, you put your shit out there on social
Yeah.
media. If you're a sales guy, put on LinkedIn your successes from last month. If you're a videographer, put your shit out there so everybody can see it. Doesn't matter what you do, where you think you want to be, you got to put yourself out there and, get those at bats yourself. Speaking of that, though, you guys are on every different platform right now. Is there one that was hardest to adapt to, one that was hardest to grow an audience on, or where are we at with that?
Yeah.
I have an answer to both questions.
Yeah.
Not the same. Yeah.
Go.
Okay. For me, and you can answer to hardest to adapt to. And these aren't past tense answers, Nikki. These are present tense answers. Like I still feel this. Hardest to adapt to is TikTok.
Yep.
I'm older. Instagram makes perfect sense to me. And TikTok should be the same thing in my mind. I'm like, what? It's just like it's the same shit. But we get such different responses to the type of video platform to platform, right? Like the pod clips do way better on IG, the games do way better on TikTok, blind ranking, beer league, like all that shit, and it's TikTok is like the Wild West, dude. Like IG, I can grow steadily. I have a good sense of what clips will do well. TikTok, like the most random thing can pop off and pop off in ways that nothing I could ever put on IG would. You know what I mean? Like I will get like millions of views on a TikTok that like I get 100,000 on Instagram. So it's fun because it's so crazy, but I'm a very like engineering brain guy. Like I want to know the logic behind what's working, and TikTok feels like a fucking roulette wheel. And I'm like, fuck
Great.
this thing, dude. So that's frustrating. And then the hardest to grow is YouTube, because and we are kind of shifting our focus to it right now. So talk to me in 6 months and maybe I'll be like, okay, we've kind of figured it out. But right now I'm like, it just doesn't feel like a social platform to me, right? Whereas like IG and TikTok and even Twitter, I'm like, yeah, I go to those to see what my friends are doing, but like YouTube, and YouTube's asking me to treat it that way, but I'm like, what are you? So we've had a hard time cracking that one, and I think we will.
YouTube's also so stupid because like you can log onto YouTube and watch a video and not
Be a
subscribe. Like
yeah.
people like you need to get subscribers, but you don't need to have a YouTube account technically to watch shit. So people, when you're like click subscribe and they do, and then it's like log in and they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just like such a nightmare. I completely agree with TikTok. I understand the value of, social footprint, if you will, and how important TikTok is, but it is just, it's anarchy. It doesn't make sense. And no disrespect, but I see some of the shit that goes nuts on TikTok and I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking content I've ever, like, it's not funny. It's not good. And it has 60 million views. And I'm like, well, maybe this just isn't for me. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Twitter, I mean, Nikki, like you're my guy on Twitter. Like recently started my own personal Twitter like 2 months ago, and Twitter is a wild place. Like, it is a very rude and mean place, and it's interesting to see. And you know, our as you know, our general vibe is very positive, and we like being friendly, and we like talking to, you know, people who DM us. And it's just funny how any Tom, Dick, or Harry can make a Twitter account from their couch with 2 followers and just like tweet racial slurs at you when you say something about their favorite team that they don't like. And you're like, okay, Twitter, here we go. So that one has been interesting because, like, you know, we started off on Twitter. I think you were kind of just blasting out the podcast clips and like saying random stuff here and there. And then halfway through the season, I was like, I'm going to get on Twitter. I'm going to start like making waves on Twitter. And, you know, it's going well now. But that one, I think that one has been not so much the hardest to understand. It's been the hardest to adjust to because it's just such a different environment and tone and vibe. So I will say also, especially people like us, you know, like you mentioned earlier, Nikki, Chris doesn't have an IG. My IG is private. Like, I think the last time I posted on Instagram was like 6 months ago. You know, we're not really big on social media, but if you're getting into this world, don't don't hesitate to give yourself a break or a pat on the back or some kind words, because like it's weird, you know, like we have an incredible fan base and an incredible audience, but you don't take into consideration sometimes when you put your face on camera and you're talking about something like sports and you make a comment that someone doesn't like or a fan base doesn't like. You know, those comments, even if it's like people that love you, like the comments can be so aggressive sometimes. And you just like, I think it's very important with social media to, you know, take a step back and be like, these people don't know me. They don't care. You know, I should not care too much about what they have to say when they lash out negatively. And, you know, there's this, a great quote that I really love that when I feel that way. That's like, if you have a problem with me, pick up your phone and call me or text me about it. If you don't have my phone number to call me or text me, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. So keep that in your mind if you are getting into this world and those things start piling up, because they can get heavy.
Dude, when we started, Nikki, like literally, because like you keep saying I don't have an IG. So when we started, one of our first posts ever was like fucking chirps of the week or whatever, and it was just like, you know, thing overheard beer league basically, and someone commented on it like, oh great, another fucking loser hockey idiots trying to start a hockey page or whatever. And I like showed Dan, I'm like, dude, look what this guy said. And Dan was like, oh buddy, you gotta fucking toughen up. We're gonna do this.
Buckle up.
Yeah,
I was like, welcome to the sewer, dude.
Seriously, especially on Twitter, like you said. I mean, I know we always go back and forth from Empty Netters to Hockey Collective on Twitter. There's like 5 people I engage with on Twitter.
Yeah,
like
seriously.
Friedman's notifications turned on, Sarah Valley's, you guys, talking to Laz all the time, couple buddies from home. That's it. There's like 5 people that I talk to on Twitter, because other than that, it is a crazy
Oh my God. It's a crime scene, dude.
It's absurd, and it's only getting worse. But you know, you touch on the fan base there, and you guys do have that kind of positive, funny, light side of hockey that you guys are sharing and focusing on for the most part there. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of, I don't even want to say networking. It's always networking in, you know, job context or advice context, but relationship building. I think that's 2 things that you guys do very well. Everything you post, whether it's a clip or a podcast or in person, you're personable, you're talking to the person. You're not coming at it from an analyst angle that you're acting like you know more than somebody. You're having a conversation, you're being friendly. I'm sure you guys picked that up through the screenwriting business and getting yourselves out there, but talk to me a little bit about growing relationships, etc.
Yeah, dude, I think I almost said this at the beginning of this recording when we were talking about the amount of hockey shows. The reason I never felt there were too many hockey shows was because hockey people love hockey and we love talking about hockey. It's like they want to consume all of it. And I've found that not just as a creator, but as a person in the hockey world. Like when we go out, it's like it's so fun meeting people. And I feel bad because almost every time anyone's ever walked up to us, I always say thanks for saying hi, because I mean it though. I don't want to sound like a robot, but I'm like, seriously, thank you for coming up, because let's talk. I laugh with Dan all the time. We'll be at hockey events and someone at a bar will come up to us, and then we'll be talking fucking like what the Canes are going to do with their RFAs for 20 minutes. And then the dudes will be like, I can't believe you guys are talking to us. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm probably bothering you at this point. Like, I just like talking about hockey, so I'll do it with anybody. And I think the hockey community really enjoys that. And that's across everything, dude. Fans of shows like yours, shows like ours, or other creators that we meet, right? It's just like everybody has similar interests, and that's been an absolute blast. And I think it's just really important to try to, we kind of fell into this maybe subconsciously, but you put it perfectly. We aren't trying to be experts. Do we know a lot about hockey? Hell yeah. But I'm not trying to be like, oh, dude, I know more than you or anyone you know, and you come to me for the facts. I'm like, no, dude, we are guys that played a lot. We read and absorb a ton of hockey, but we're just you. We want to be your friend and talk about hockey. And I think that's a vibe we try to stick to hard, because it's relatable, right?
Yeah, I think for me, we've been blown away, but not surprised, if that makes sense, by how welcoming the hockey world has been. There's always the element of, when you come in, you're a new platform in something, you're a new creator in something. There's the fear of like, oh, is this a rival? Is this someone who's going to take viewership away from me? And no one in the hockey world has been that way. It's like, we always love it when we talk about things like, you guys, us, Chicklets, Missing Curfew, Elliot with 32 Thoughts and stuff like that. There's never been anything but true and honest open arms amongst everybody. It's like, we all want to go on each other's shows. We all want to just help each other, co-post stuff, boost each other up. And I think that that's a perfect example of hockey people. And for me, the relationship thing, which I think is a great question by you, because you're right, that is sort of like in every industry. Here, I don't really look at it so much as networking as I look at it as, sort of expanding the web, because hockey is, of the four major sports, right? It's the smallest. Let's be real.
Yep.
And we all think it shouldn't be. And I think part of the way we break out of that and grow the game more is, when you're standing in a crowd and you see a group of people laughing, having fun, you're naturally attracted to that. I think for too long, hockey has been this like best kept secret thing. How many times do we see people who get into hockey or watch a hockey game for the first time? You start dating someone who plays hockey, and you start watching and you're like, oh my God, hockey's sweet. And we've heard that line a million times. Like, why did hockey people not tell us about hockey? It's the best. And I think it's genuinely a problem. Like, I think we, for too long, have been told hockey's small, so we don't talk about it to the world. We talk about it to other hockey people. That's why we love it so much, and that's why we love each other so much. It's almost like we feel like we're this like minority in sports, and we're like, people don't get us, man.
Yeah.
So we talk about it to each other. What I think all of us networking, to your point, and working together, collaborating on stuff does is it just widens that net. And now it makes people who maybe weren't searching for hockey stuff to see us all joking around, talking about hockey in a really fun way. And it'll get more eyeballs to be like, I got to check this out. Like, what are these people talking about? Why do they look like they're having so much fun? Why do they all get along so well immediately when they don't fucking know each other at all? It's like, dude, we have known each other for what? Maybe a year, not even. And when we're all together, we hang out like we've known each other for 30 years. That is a very specific to hockey thing, in my opinion. And the more that we can just spread that and share that, all of us together in this world, with not the hockey community, the sports and just human community, the better hockey will be for it. So I think networking and just sort of broadening that spectrum is just how we make hockey bigger and bigger every single day.
Absolutely. No, I think that's well said. We gotta preach it to the sports world, not just the hockey world. Fellas, we got about 2 minutes left here. Want to wrap it up with a bit of a unique question here, since you fellas are both Northeastern guys, played high level hockey. I've been stunned lately at the number of college hockey jobs that I've been able to post on working in hockey. Director of hockey operations for big time schools. Clarkson's head coach role was posted on Indeed a couple weeks ago. 300 grand a year. It's on Indeed. Anybody can apply
That's
to it.
insane.
There's
Dude.
nutritionists. Everything is out there right now for college hockey. College hockey's on the come up. You guys know that. I know that. NIL is shaping the landscape. We saw Grinelli's tour of UND. What type of jobs, what type of growth do you guys see for college hockey over the next couple of years as it, adapts to include junior guys, adds NIL? What type of opportunities do you guys see in the college game?
Dude, I'll go quick because I know we're out of time. I think, of course, as things change in like workout, nutrition, and there's already specialized stuff in there, but that's going to continue to grow. But one thing I think will be fascinating, dude, is, for lack of a better term, like scouting, right? Like I think really right now it's like, yeah, you're like they have departments and they're looking for kids, but with the way college is growing in NIL stuff, I think there's literally going to be like travel scouts flying all over the continent to Europe to be like, let's get that Swedish kid to North Dakota right now. And I think that would be and what a fun, unique job, right? Like if you're rocking those huge school budgets to like find the next great fucking middle school hockey player, I'm like, oh, that's sick. So I really think that could be a cool area to blow up.
I'm going to keep it localized to what we all do and what we're talking about. I think media is going to become huge in college hockey because when you look at it, dude, we're talking about it. We're watching the Frozen Four last year. You can't fucking find it on TV. And as this gets more and more popular, and a lot of these junior guys, these international guys start deciding to come to NCAA, you get this amazing college experience in a lot of these really cool US cities. I think that is going to open a door for way more opportunity with both social media and traditional media coverage, exposure in the college hockey game. So we're going to see a lot of like social media account running jobs. We're going to see a lot of like TV broadcast jobs showing up for college hockey, because I foresee in the future here, like you look at Hockey East, how is there not a Hockey East network available to like like that needs to expand out of just Northeast and into national coverage, because you get a guy like Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini who just played for Boston Schools, who went top 5 in back-to-back drafts and are now playing on the same team. As this hockey world gets bigger, people are going to want to know where to watch those guys in college when they live in Minnesota or they live in California or they live in BC. So I just think we're going to start seeing way more media exposure, and that's going to grow the game tenfold.
100%. No, I fully agree. And yeah, I mean, I'm super bullish on college hockey. I think you guys are too, not only from the on ice product, but the careers, the marketing, the advancement. I think college hockey is poised for a blow up the next couple of years. But guys, this was awesome as always. Thank you very much for taking the time here. Tell the people where they can find you.
On all socials, IG, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Empty Netters Pod. We're everywhere. Give us a shot. Watch the episodes. We just got an awesome Mario Ferraro episode that dropped today. And yeah, interact with us. Shoot us DMs, because we love talking with everybody. That's our whole thing.
Awesome. Well, fellas, thank you again. For anybody listening, be sure to subscribe to the Working in Hockey podcast and the free weekly newsletter containing every open job in the hockey industry.